I like them all of them. That's me. There's Henri.
Henri Martin a 22 ans quand il arrive à Liverpool le 9 décembre 1943 avec des équipages de renfort du groupe Guyenne, le squadron 346, l'un des 2 groupes français du Bomber Command de la Royal Air Force, arrivé par bateau d'Afrique du Nord. Henri est né à Marseille, d'une mère corse et d'un père breton originaire de Cancale.
Henri was in the Air Forces, you see. And once a week I used to help. We started a thing for a welcoming for all the strangers who were coming in, and there was food for the various time of the day, and after in the evening there was dancing, and I used to go when I could, and sometimes every night, so if I could, but not very often. And I was put in the French. There was 4 of us that spoke French, and somebody touched my shoulder and said, "Well, you like this one," and that was Henri, and I don't know. I wasn't used to strangers, you know, but it's really easy when you start, isn't it? And he was lovely, bless him. And every time he was off, he used to come where I was staying. And at first I wasn't at all in love with him. It only burst on me one day that loving somebody is really just being comfortable and real, and he certainly was all that.
Phyllis Joyce Pattimore, surnommée Pat, 26 ans, est née à Jersey. Ses parents sont anglais et ses grands-parents maternels sont originaires de Tréguier, en Bretagne. En 1940, suite à l'invasion allemande, la famille s'installe à St. Helens, près de Liverpool. Pat travaille au département de la censure du ministère de la Guerre, qui contrôle les courriers. Parlant couramment français, elle a été approchée pour remplir des missions de renseignement en territoire occupé. Personne dans son entourage ne sera au courant de ses activités secrètes, pas même Henri.
The first time I jumped, you don't jump, you just fall out of an aeroplane, and when you reach the ground, and you know it had big white things that opened up like a huge umbrella. Well, I had to roll it up and find a place to hide it. If I couldn't, I just sat on it until somebody came, and they did it. And all to do with something I had in my waist. I had this leather thing which opened if you knew what to do with the front, and it was for the people who were trying to help France while the worst was on. And well, you know, I didn't mind really, because I got used to it. But once you hit the ground and they've said, "Oh no," and I thought they'd broken every bone I had, you get used to it, don't you? It's surprising. And I was parked on this gentleman and his wife. They had a farm, I think. And he was lovely, and all I had to do was just give him this thing and open it for him. And then when he'd done his bit, I had to go back. And that was the only part that we had any frightening bits, because unfortunately he had a lovely big house, and those who had plenty of room had to take Germans as they came for their last meal of the day and to spend the night. And that only lasted about 7 or 8 weeks. And then I went back to reading my letters. But at least if I helped somebody, I was happy.
À son arrivée en décembre 1943, Henri séjourne au camp de West Kirby, près de Liverpool, avant de débuter un long parcours d'instruction et d'entraînement auquel sont soumis tous les personnels de la Royal Air Force, quelle que soit leur nationalité.
I took him home, introduced him to my mother and father. My mother was French, so it was lovely, you see. That was nice. And Christmas was coming, and he spent Christmas. He was lucky. But he wasn't after that.
Un peu partout en Grande-Bretagne, les écoles de la Royal Air Force accueillent les membres des différents équipages répartis selon leur spécialité. Le 1er janvier 1944, Henri rejoint l'école des mitrailleurs d'Evanton, en Écosse.
Evanton, le 22 février 1944. Pat chérie, 2 mots simplement pour te dire de ne plus m'écrire à Evanton, car je compte en partir le 26 de ce mois, et par conséquent, je ne les aurai plus. Que deviens-tu, mon ange? Je suis bien fâché avec toi. Pourquoi ne m'écris-tu pas? Voilà près d'1 semaine que je n'ai pas de nouvelles. Mais enfin, je me tranquillise, car je serai, s'il plaît à Dieu, dans 4 jours, près de toi à Liverpool. Que devient ton père? Va-t-il beaucoup mieux? J'espère que oui. Embrasse-le bien pour moi, ainsi que ta maman. S'il te plaît, chérie, sans oublier Flossie. Je termine ici ce mot en te disant bonsoir et en t'envoyant mes plus doux baisers. Bien à toi et à bientôt. Henri.
Environ toutes les 6 semaines, Henri va en permission à St. Helens, où habite Pat.
He was so full of gaiety. He was always smiling. I never heard him grumble. He really was quite different from my dad. If he got angry, he got very angry. But Henri didn't. But he was, I don't know, he was just right for me anyway. And it was lovely, it was wonderful. We talked about where we wanted to live and after the war and so forth. I couldn't believe it. And I've never forgotten.
En mars, Henri retrouve une partie de son équipage à Lossiemouth, au nord de l'Écosse. Alors débutent 3 mois d'entraînement intensif, avec des vols de jour et de nuit. Il arrive ensuite dans le Nord Yorkshire, sur la base de Reforth, où les équipages entièrement reconstitués perfectionnent leur entraînement sur les bombardiers quadrimoteurs Halifax. Henri est le mitrailleur supérieur de l'équipage du lieutenant Hyenne. Fin juillet, ils rejoignent les autres Français des groupes Guyenne et Tunisie, les squadrons 346 et 347, déjà entrés en opération sur la base d'Elvington, près de York. Leur mission commence début août à bord du Halifax G pour George. Le 16 septembre, Henri et Pat se marient.
He wasn't wanting particularly to be married, and neither was I. I wasn't thinking about it. But one night he said, I know I shouldn't, but I would like us to marry. And I said, what about your parents? And he said, oh, they won't like it very much, but, and he was an only son too. So we got married in St. Helens. And he was the sweetest man. I couldn't have said no, and I didn't want to either. My aunt made the cake, and her Uncle Joe, her husband, did all the decorating on it.
Après une brève permission pour son mariage, Henri reprend ses missions avec son équipage. Pat s'est installé à York, dans un petit appartement, près de l'hippodrome.
So every morning I used to take the dog out on the... they also have a thing for a race course. I was throwing a ball, you know. He came up laughing, you know, and I said, what's so funny? And he said, if you could see you and the dog running around here, you know. And so I used to ask my landlady, bless her, to make me some sandwiches for two. And when he could get away, that's where we'd be, unless it rained. And then, of course, I'd take the dog out in the morning, but he'd take me to a show or something, and dances, you know.
Henri et Pat sortent quelquefois à York pour aller dîner ou danser avec les meilleurs amis d'Henri, Francis Ouzaï et Jacques Leclerc, du groupe Tunisie. Francis est le mitrailleur supérieur de l'équipage du lieutenant Cottard et Jacques, le pilote. Pendant ce temps, la guerre continue. Les groupes français du Bomber Command mènent leur mission principalement au-dessus de la Ruhr, la région industrielle de l'Allemagne nazie, baptisée par les équipages britanniques la Vallée Heureuse. En réalité, un véritable enfer.
I had a little flat. Well, it wasn't so little. It was big enough for me. And there was a lovely big window, and out of that window I could see him when the plane went off, and they used to just do a little. And they did that, and then from about 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning, I was back at the window, frightened for him. I think I said more Hail Marys, and not that I was a Catholic. I couldn't sleep properly. And after I'd seen them come back and do their little bob, then I could go to bed and sleep.
7 semaines après le mariage, le 4 novembre 1944, 749 bombardiers de la Royal Air Force s'envolent direction Bochum, dans la Ruhr. Parmi eux, 11 appareils du Tunisie et 16 du Guyenne. Au retour de la mission, 5 des 16 Halifax du Guyenne sont manquants. Le Halifax D du lieutenant Dabadi, le J du capitaine Baron, le M du lieutenant Vless, le N du capitaine Béraud, le G du lieutenant Hyenne. Tous ont été abattus. Quelques hommes ont pu sauter en parachute et ont été faits prisonniers. 24 sont morts. Le G du lieutenant Hyenne, à bord duquel se trouve Henri, a été abattu à Dachausen vers 20h. Les 7 membres d'équipage ont tous été tués. C'était la 11e mission d'Henri. Il avait 23 ans.
I got the news because that last awful morning, I was standing in the window and I heard it, and I was all ready, to wave with my handkerchief, and it didn't come. That's how I knew. Mind you, he might not have been killed, but his plane didn't come back. And so I rang the office that dealt with them, and he said yes, and it is the plane that was following the one Henri was in, told him that Henri had been, it burst into flames, you see. It was dreadful. It was awful. I'll never forget him.
Au cours de cette même mission, le 4 novembre 1944, 136 membres d'équipage du Bomber Command ont été tués. 980 Allemands ont perdu la vie.
He died before Paul was born. It suddenly stopped, the monthly, and I thought, it's got to be a baby. So it's 9 months after. I remember saying to my father, he said, you better eat more than you're eating, you're very thin. And I said, oh, I'm all right, Dad. And I can't let myself go because I'm hurting other people. And really, it was a godsend. So I went back to work, and they gave me great, and it was rather nice. And I had something at least to get me through the day. I didn't want to worry about the night. I used to have nightmares, that's all. And I think the doctor said that he thought it would go, but it doesn't. If I'm distressed, I get the same, that the fire and everything, I don't know why, it just happens. I felt a funny, dead feeling, I think I didn't want to remember, not during the day if I upset anybody else. But I had to go, and I went, no problems at all.
Après la mort d'Henri, Pat fut transférée à Londres. Elle travailla au cabinet de guerre de Winston Churchill, où elle eut l'occasion de rencontrer le général de Gaulle.
You have to live each day and not think of the next one. You do what you have to do at the time you're able to do it. And this is how if anybody had told me I was going to be 90, I'd have thought, oh, well, I don't want to know, thank you. But I'm quite comfortable, doesn't worry me. The war is almost the same thing. If you get through the day and you're still alive the next day, you thank God. And I suppose that's my attitude all the time, only I'm not thinking about it. I very rarely think about anything now. It's never been anybody else.